The access media will sit here and praise titles like The Last of Us Part 2, Dragon Age The Veilguard, and even something like Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, but their bias is, of course, very, very apparent because now they are even refusing to review hit indie games. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, I personally think that indies and AA's are the best part of the video game industry. They deserve so much credit for doing so much with so little. Small teams, small budgets, not as many resources as these large AAA companies, and yet they are putting out high quality performances time and time and time again because indie developers and AA developers are focused on making fun experiences. They don't usually give a fuck about shoving a narrative into a product. They just want you to walk away remembering their title because it was fun, high quality entertainment, and that magic has been lost when it comes to AAA games. Dragon Age The Veilguard, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, all of these different games either take existing franchises and series and butcher them and they modernize them, or they're brand new experiences like, I don't know, South of Midnight, and they're more focused on what they want the player to take out of it. They don't want to leave any question marks in your mind about the narrative, which sometimes can work, but generally I think that it's good to get people's brains thinking about a story, get the cogs turning in their mind. But when it comes to newer indie and AA games, the access media is now refusing to review them, which just goes to show how biased they really are. Of course, there's a reason why they're called the access media, because without their access, they would not be the media. If they were not constantly getting early review codes and interviews, and they were not getting information from these companies, nobody would ever go to their websites, period. And even with this access, they're not able to keep up with independent content creators like myself, for example. Sure, I don't get these codes and I'm not able to access the game early and review the game early, but I think it is so much better to be able to live stream it and show you guys my genuine first impressions. And I think that, of course, these reviewers should be required to either upload basically a full playthrough on a YouTube channel at release or live stream a full playthrough. That should be a requirement to get a code, or at least a certain section of a game, like a portion, maybe like 50 or 75%. But I think that when they start to refuse to review indie games and actually give them scores, it shows how desperate they are, because they see the Ubisofts and the EAs all struggling right now. They see the BioWares and the Obsidians going through major layoffs, and they realize when the Remedies are saying we have to get rid of CEOs and go through major shakeups, that the industry is changing so much that they need to try to hold the line for these companies, because if they can have more sales for a game happen because of a few reviews, right? If they can lead a few people to a game to purchase it, maybe these companies won't actually go under, and then they'll be able to keep their access. But Arc Raiders, Megabonk, Escape from Duckov, all games that people are talking about right now, games with extremely high player counts on Steam, and none of them are being reviewed from major outlets. Let's start off with Arc Raiders. It came out 2 days ago. It's doing phenomenal right now. Tons of people are loving it. The user score is sitting at an 8.8, which is extremely positive, and yet there are no critic scores. No critic scores, even though the game had its all-time peak 1 minute ago of 279,897. You would think that out of this, a couple of game journos have been playing it and could make reviews, could actually leave their thoughts on the Metacritic platform, but none of them have. Here we have Megabonk, a game that released about a month and a half ago, September 18th, 2025, that tons of people are loving, a user score of an 8.4, which are all extremely high. But no, a meta score of TBD because none of them have actually reviewed it. And if you look down here at the latest critic review page, sure, there are technically some outlets that are leaving it reviews, but we are talking about very small outlets in most cases. Like Destructoid is the largest here. Otherwise, we have Game Reactor, we have Game 8. So we are not talking about the Polygons and Kotakus. We are not talking about major outlets here. If we go to Arc Raiders, right? PC Games, Try Hard Guides, Gaming Trend, Xbox Era, PC Gamer didn't actually leave a score. It just says TBD. So I guess PC Gamer's the largest one here, but still, we're not talking about a significant amount, and we're not talking about the largest ones in the industry, except for there is PC Gamer. But if we even go to Escape from Duckov, we are talking actually about a little bit of a different situation because user score sitting in an 8.5, the critic scores actually sitting at a 77. So some of them have rated it, but we're also talking about very small outlets, except for, I think, an IGN France. So Game Grin, The Games Machine, GameSurf, Game 8, GameStar, Movie Games and Tech. Is this fucking AI? I'm not trying to be mean here, but I've never heard of any of these outlets, and so I don't necessarily know like if you should trust them and trust their scores. I have played Escape from Duckov. I think that it is phenomenal, and I've also played Arc Raiders. I also think that it's very good. I haven't played Megabonk. I know so many people have told me it's great, but I've seen so much gameplay of it. I've heard so many good things. Though when you have basically unknown outlets leaving scores, it just doesn't bode very well. The largest here is Destructoid at a 70, Dual Shockers, and then IGN France. So also not the largest in the industry, and I think that this is so scummy that this is happening to such amazing games that deserve attention, games that actually deserve to be taken seriously by the access media, and gamers are taking these titles seriously. Again, all above 8s, which are phenomenal, and we're talking hundreds of thousands of people in some of these games, and yet they're getting absolutely terrible scores or no scores because these journos aren't taking these studios seriously. But when a Dragon Age the Veilguard comes out, they'll leave a review instantly. When a Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League comes out, they'll leave a review immediately. And you could argue that, oh, it's because they're getting codes for those larger games and they're not getting codes for Arc Raiders and Megabonks and Escape from Duckovs. Sure, that would be a fine argument if the games came out one day ago. Arc Raiders, okay, it came out 2 days ago. I think that if you're a legitimate video game journalist and reviewer, you just, do a 24-hour marathon of playing it, sleep for a couple hours, then put up a review. But Arc Raiders aside, Megabonk came out a month and a half ago. They haven't reviewed it. Escape from Duckov now came out, 2 weeks ago? They still haven't reviewed it. It's just so shit that we're seeing this happen to games that do deserve a hell of a lot of credit and a lot of attention because they're doing so much good in a time where the industry is going through so much bad and through so much turmoil. And this is why I personally do not trust the reviewers. I do not trust the critics. And this is why I think it's so important that whether you are somebody who views content on YouTube or Twitch or Kick or X, you find reviewers that you trust, whether that is a YouTuber or a live streamer or just a content creator. Find somebody who actually plays these games, who takes their craft seriously and takes this industry seriously, and listen to them, because the access media is ignoring some absolutely phenomenal games because they're so desperate to defend the AAA companies. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this important and informative, make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.